We've showcased an iPod Classic on the channel before, but in this box is its much smaller sibling, the iPod Nano. In this video, we're going to go over a bit of the history, take it out of the packaging, and also look at some of the more unique successors to this Gen 1 icon. Before we continue on, this portion of the video is sponsored by Sihu and their Doro S100 ergonomic office chair. I've had the pleasure of using this in my office for the past week now, and let me tell you, it is a marvel of comfort and has plenty of cool features. The dual dynamic lumbar support helps with lower back posture, while the independent backrest offers 5 adjustable levels of support for both your shoulders and neck, catering to individuals of all heights. With a maximum recline angle of 135 degrees and armrests with 4 dimensions of adjustability, this chair is all about taking your comfort to the next level. Especially since I've been spending a lot of time in the office lately cranking out videos, I've been absolutely loving this product, especially during my longer stints at work. But also, I can see this chair working in all kinds of different setups. Like, for example, maybe you're a gamer and spend hours at your PC because you can't end on a loss. Sure, you might have skill issues, but at least you'll be comfortable and have good posture, all thanks to the Doro S100. If you'd like to find out more and support the content we make here on Denki, head over to the link in the description and use my promo code on screen to get 6% off your purchase. Huge thanks to Sihu for sponsoring today's video, and now, back to the show. The year was 2005, and at this point in time, the iPod was a resounding success for Apple, alongside a boom in digital music, all thanks to iTunes. The idea of having shelves of CDs shrunken down into a tiny jukebox that could fit in your pocket was an absolute game changer for music lovers. And on top of that, the interface was incredibly easy to use thanks to the click wheel. But of course, in typical Apple fashion, the size of the standard iPod wasn't good enough. They wanted to go smaller. And so they made the iPod Mini. This was a cheaper device altogether that was aimed to be accessible for a wider array of customers. The Mini had a full aluminum body, came in a variety of fun colors. It also included that all too famous click wheel and had enough capacity to hold about 1,000 songs. Sure, the Mini might have been a lower-end device, but it still very much embodied the essence of the iPod, just with some unique qualities of its own. Needless to say, the market absolutely ate it up. Stores could barely keep up with demand, and so right before the 2005 holiday shopping season, Apple cooked up an even crazier device to succeed it. And thus, the iPod Nano was born. This actually comes from my boss, Austin Evans, and his personal collection. He actually brought it into the office the other day and mentioned that I could probably make a Denki video of some sort with it, and I have been on a bit of a nostalgia kick, so why not? Looking around the box, the first thing I'm noticing is that even though this product came out in 2005, honestly, the design holds up pretty well. Certainly in the past 2 decades, Apple have shifted the fonts that they've used and the design language overall of their marketing materials and packaging. But if you didn't know any better, this could actually pass off as something they would sell today. On the top here, it says we have the 4GB model, which holds roughly 1,000 songs. And at the time, in 2005, this was the most expensive model, costing $250. Opening this bad boy up, designed by Apple in California, as always. Let's open this up here. Oh, I opened it upside down, but look at this. Yo, this thing is tiny. Whoa! And props to Austin, this is in pretty clean condition. I mean, yeah, the stainless steel back is all kinds of scuffed, but in Austin's defense, these were pretty hard to maintain and keep pristine. Plus, really, the most important thing is that the front plastic is all fine, and it doesn't look like there's all that much scratching. I mean, I don't know if this 30 pin is original, but even if it was, I am not using that. I mean, you can even see the gauge in there. That is a fire hazard waiting to happen. Right when I was praising the boss man, he leaves this in the box. What else we got in here? Oh, so this iPod Nano was actually repaired back in 2007, which cost the original owner $99. I don't exactly know what it is they worked on, but maybe they just replaced the iPod Nano altogether. Warranty effective through October 24, 2007. That is no use to us at all. What is you? More paper Apple stickers! Wow, the original owner never used them. That's cool. We have the good old iPod plus iTunes CD. And that is it, which is unfortunate because it appears that Austin has not held on to the original Apple headphones that this iPod came with. But the real question is, will the iPod Nano turn on? This has been sitting in the box for a while, so I have my doubts. And those doubts would be correct. So let me go ahead and charge this thing, and we'll be right back. Boom. We got an Apple logo, LCD backlight just fired up. Oh, and it was already set up. All right, let's see. Do we have any music on here? Darude? I still can't get over how small this device is. Even though all of the control inputs are practically made for ants, this click wheel is a surprisingly good size where I don't find myself messing up inputs all that often. And this whole thing is even better knowing that iPod OS is just really straightforward and easy to use. Totally forgot these iPods also had games on them. I used to play Brick back in middle school all the time. But man, on this tiny screen and with the miniature click wheel, it's actually pretty difficult to play. Now, unfortunately, this iPod Nano set that Austin has provided for this video doesn't have the original Apple headphones in them. However, I was able to find an original pair of Apple EarPods, which are technically newer and didn't come with this iPod Nano, but should still do the trick, especially since these have a 3.5mm jack. When you have a 30 pin plugged in as well, there is no wasted space on the bottom. I'm gonna pop these in my ear, and let's actually listen to Feel Good Inc. Yo, actually, this first gen iPod Nano alongside the Apple EarPods sound amazing. The stock headphones from the first couple of generations of iPods never sounded too great, especially when it came to the bass response. However, with the newer Apple EarPods, this combo together packs a serious punch, at least more than I was anticipating. Now, normally this is the part of the video where I would attempt to do some mods with this thing. However, the unfortunate thing with these Gen 1 iPod Nanos is that there isn't a whole lot you can do with them. Much like other iPods and MP3 players of this era, you could install custom firmware via Rockbox. But if I'm being real, the experience there is not as smooth or fluid as just rocking the device stock. And because the internal flash storage on here is soldered onto the logic board, the only real hardware upgrade you can do, maybe apart from some cosmetics, is replace the battery. And because this particular example is in pretty decent condition, I'm inclined to just leave it alone. Also because it's not mine. The iPod Nano would become Apple's product line where they would experiment with all kinds of wacky form factors. For example, the 5th generation Nano was a mini camcorder. This was back in 2009 when YouTube was really starting to boom, and Apple wanted to give people a fun way to film their videos, even if the quality was kinda meh at VGA resolution. At the very least, it was still a capable iPod and came in a stupid amount of colors. This one had character. Now, the 6th generation Nano that came after this was iconic for other reasons. Not only did it have a very compact design, but it also had a small touchscreen that was surprisingly decent to use and had 16 gigs of storage, meaning it could hold a good amount of music as well. However, most famously, people love to turn this iPod Nano into one of the earliest examples of an Apple Watch, at least before the real thing actually debuted. Back in the early days of Kickstarter, both the TikTok and Lunatic watch cases for the iPod Nano raised just shy of $1 million. Not only was this a lot of money at the time for crowdfunding, but it was the most funded project on Kickstarter for well over a year. While the 6th generation iPod Nano wasn't initially designed to be a watch, ultimately Apple would meet the trend in the middle, updating it with a whole slew of watch faces, and it even integrated with Nike plus iPod, which basically gave it basic activity tracking via iTunes Sync, as well as an add-on sensor to go into select Nike shoes. Sure, a lot of this functionality might seem basic by today's standards, but back in the day, this was the Tell me you wouldn't want to commit to the look. However, where the iPod Nano found its end as a product line was with the 7th generation. Now, admittedly, back in the day, I didn't quite appreciate this design. However, with the benefit of hindsight, I think it's actually really cool. Because basically, this is a mini iPod Touch. Now, sure, it wasn't running full-fledged iOS, but I mean, just look at how tiny this thing is. As far as actual devices go, this is about as thin as an Apple product gets. In fact, Apple actually called back to this during its M4 iPad Pro announcement a few months ago to say that sadly, this is no longer the king. At the very least, there will always be room in my heart to revisit devices like this, so let me know what tech from the 2000s would you like me to revisit in the comments below. And otherwise, thanks for watching this video on Denki channel.